Hi, how's it going? I'm Luca, and at the age of 18, I've already delivered speeches in front of 2,000 people. I've competed in public speaking competitions, I've lost, I've won, I've received standing ovations. People have given me compliments and praise, and they've asked me how I do it. So now I help rising leaders deliver high stakes speeches. And in today's video, I'll be talking about confidence. And I have a little note here with 4 points just to guide me. And to save time, I'll read the bullet points out. So hopefully you get a bit of a better understanding, and then I'll go and explain each one in the video. So firstly, we're going to contrast competence with warmth. Secondly, we have to enter a state of play. Thirdly, we have the fact that nobody knows how you feel. And we have two sentences, as our fourth point, we have two sentences which I repeat to myself every time I feel a little nervous. And I don't have a whiteboard yet, so for now I'll just be using the classic pen and pad. But to guide the course of this video, I'll begin with my first point, which was contrast competence with warmth. Number one, C versus W, contrasting competence with warmth. All right. What this looks like in terms of delivering a speech or presentation or speaking in front of a crowd. I often see that when people step onto the stage or podium or microphone, they want to come across as competent, confident, and almost they want to appear like a leader, all right? But I see people getting this awfully wrong because they walk on a stage with this puffed out chest and they look quite angry, and they're not smiling, and they're trying to like mog the crowd or whatever, and they're frowning a bit, and they appear quite competent. I'm maybe using the word a bit off of the definition, but this is somewhat competent. Okay, they're trying to align themselves with this archetype of some strict authoritarian dictator. So they come on stage with their chest out, and they walk and they don't smile, and they're cold as concrete, and there's no human aspect of charisma or charm or warmth in them. All right. And when I see this, it just doesn't really come across as confident because I can see through it a bit because I myself have been in those same shoes. When I feel a bit uncomfortable, this is for me, tell me if you agree or disagree, but when I'm in a room where I'm slightly uncomfortable, right? I don't know everyone there, there's many people, I'm supposed to be the one speaking soon, nerves are up or whatever. I feel like I might be slightly judged by the people around me. They're looking at what I'm wearing, how I'm walking, how I'm carrying my body. And when I feel as though, I'm being judged and whatnot, I begin to close up in the sense that, yeah, I might have a body language which is slightly open. My arms might be to my side, and, I'm not like a bit nervous in the corner of the room or anything. But my facial expressions will be stone cold, and they'll be muted and suppressed because I feel a bit uncomfortable. And I based on what I believe the room to be, I mirror the room. And the vice versa is true. But when I think that I'm being judged by the room and that everyone's cold and everyone's like looking around, looking to see what I'm going to do because I'm the next speaker or whatever, I begin to just be very cold. I also tend to frown. My mouth just, there's no sense of, I'm not frowning, but there's no smile. And I'm just very cold and expressionless. And the reason I tend to do this is simply because you want to come across as more serious, more competent, more maybe confident, like you know what you're doing, you're angry, you have something to prove, you're a man on a mission or gal on a mission. But this doesn't really work because what ends up happening is leaders come and they stand there, or speakers arrive at the podium and they begin speaking, and they just sound like this bossy bum who's telling everyone what to do. And they're pointing and they're using these, you have to do this, and they're not exposing their palms, and it's just terrible. They come across as really, really maybe confident, cold in brackets, but there's no warmth. And Vanessa Van Edwards, she speaks about, balancing warmth and competence to create charisma, which I believe and I found to be very, very true. Also in the realm of public speaking, not only communication, interactions with other humans. And when I have contrasted competence with warmth, I've noticed that my speeches, the crowd is far more responsive. They laugh more, they engage more, they remember my words more, they come afterwards to speak to me, to give me compliments, to say this and that, to connect. When I contrast the two, it works wonders. But if you just have one, if you have warmth, you get walked over. If you just have competence, people don't really want to come and speak to you because you don't really seem too approachable. But when you contrast the two, not balance, contrast, that is when you achieve the desired outcome here. Connection, being memorable, captivating, eloquent, whatever you like. The world is yours. And this kind of idea of contrasting, hot and cold, up and down, is also prevalent in modeling. Male models with very strong masculine features, a strong jaw, maybe a thicker neck, or these dominant eyebrows, might have longer, almost feminine-like eyelashes, or these fuller, voluptuous lips, which is a slightly more feminine trait. But when you contrast the masculine with the feminine, you look like a model. Same with female models. I remember there was most of our runway models are these very tall, slender, lean, athletic-looking women, which tends to be a slightly more masculine trait. If we're looking at it from some primal ancestral body type, all right? I remember there was this really famous model who had a lion tattoo on her finger somewhere. She had these really big, thick eyebrows, which is a more masculine trait. But when you contrasted that with her very feminine features, it looked pretty attractive, to be honest with you. And so that's what we're aiming for in our speeches here. We are contrasting competence with warmth. And what competence looks like in terms of our speeches. I could be writing, but I figured I'd just be speaking here. Competence looks like, in terms of our facial expression, we want to be contrasting. We want to have ups and downs and highs and lows, okay? There's times where we are going to be very happy and we're going to laugh and we're going to smile in our speech and everyone's going to smile back and they're going to mirror our actions. And we're going to be, warm. And then there's times we're going to be high. There's times when we're going to be low. And we're going to be serious. And we're going to slow our voice down, lower our tone. And we won't have this smiley, happy face no more. It will be slightly colder, slightly more stern and competent. That's how you get points across. And it's all about contrasting those two. Because if you don't have this high here, this warmth, smiley, smiley, if you don't contrast that with this low, if you don't go that high, you can't go that low, right? You can't get this nice lip. If we have a graph here, the higher we go with our warmth, the deeper, our point is going to land or cut into our audience, right? And that will be competence. So it's all about contrasting, okay? We could just stay here in this middle ground and just like move around a bit, and just be not red or blue. We're just going to be purple here. But then nothing really sticks. Nothing really lands, and you're bland and you're forgettable. But if we really want to be memorable, if we want to be heard, understood, if we want our points to land and people to actually resonate with them, you need to go high with the warmth, and then you have to drop it down really deeply with stern confidence. All right? And in terms of speaking, storytelling, my speeches, there's a laugh, 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 cry formula. And I've spoken about it before. Laugh, 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 that will be your warmth. So throughout the whole speech or story, or not whole, but a large part of it, it'll be like a jab, jab, jab. You're making them laugh, you're warm, you're charming, you're smiling. You know, everyone's kind of connecting like, yo, this guy is actually really refreshing, because everyone here is always just speaking some really serious horse poo-poo. And no one really connects with it, no one really likes it, it's just concrete. And as soon as you're making them laugh the whole time, boom, uppercut, right hand, cry. In storytelling, it'll be, you know, happy, nice sunny day kind of story vibes, and at the end you have a deep realization which completely changes you, and it's deep and it's somewhat sad, and you know, it moves the audience. In order for that realization to land, to cut deep into the crowd, you have to contrast that with all this humor, the smiley sunshine and rainbow talk. All right, but now we're going to use slightly different terminology in this presentation or speech that you have. We're going to contrast. It's not smiley, smiley. It's going to be more warmth, which is technically smiling, right? We're going to be more warm, more open, more hi everyone, how's it going? How was your weekend? That's the vibe we're on. And then you immediately, you're in your speech, throughout your speech, you'll contrast that with a point, slowing your tone down, having a more serious looking face, like a model. And that's how your points land. I hope this graph here makes sense. This can also be seen in terms of body language. When we point, when we have our hands like this, palms not exposed, and we say you, you know, that's very commanding and somewhat authoritarian and rather cold. But when we contrast that point with open palms are very, very warm body language here. When you have this, when you greet people with this in the beginning of your speech, you say, good evening, everyone. Good morning, everyone. How's it going? How was your weekend? Even though you don't care. Don't start your speech with a question like that, but you get the idea. Open body language, open palms, warm. And then you can always contrast that when you're making your point, and that is why we have to invest in NVIDIA. You know what I'm saying? That is why we have to maximize shareholders' capital, shareholder equity. You know what I'm saying? So you contrast open with closed, open, closed, warm, cold, high, low. I hope that makes sense. So facial expression, your body language, your hands. Is there anything else in terms of your words as well? I spoke about that as well with the laugh, 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 cry. Maybe if you want to point to land better, I'll go into more depth in Roman rhetoric videos. I'm making my Roman rhetoric notes at the moment, which I'll be giving them away for free when they are complete. But Roman rhetoric, you want to use those rhetorical devices to make your points land better. And for now, if you need to make a point land after you've made your audience laugh and you've been warm, now you want to switch it up and be a bit more competent and you want the point to land, pairs of three. That is why the world is changing. That is why you need to think fast if you want to prevail. That is why we need to invest in NVIDIA stock. I don't know what context that would be in, but pairs of three. You know what I'm saying? That's just a quick little rhetorical device you can use. So you want to contrast your competence with warmth, and that works wonders. And there I was speaking a lot about smiling. Smiling just exudes confidence and natural charm and control, right? If everyone around you is somewhat nervous, kind of cold, reserved, tired, expressionless, bland, and you're almost supposed to be nervous in a situation like that when you have to speak, if you're there standing, smiling, if you open it up, hey, it's me. Hi, everyone, how's it going? If you're the only one, if you're smiling, that's crazy. You know, because everyone thinks, how on earth is this guy still warm? How is this guy still smiling? How is this chick like this confident when everyone's low-key nervous? It's all just a smile. And now that we're speaking of the smile, that leads me into my second point, which is, I'm wasting quite a bit of paper here. State of play. That's the second point, state of play. Being in a state of play before you speak, or even during your speech or presentation. I did a bit more research into how creative minds would get better ideas, because I wanted to get better ideas for my stories, my speeches. When I wrote, I wanted to have a good idea. What a lot of them spoke about was that you can't really force it. It hits you. And for some of them, it's when they're dozing off into sleep, like with their hand, like, resting on their hand on the table with the pen in their hand at their desk, right? And that's when an idea hits them. This little in-between phase between being awake and sleeping. For some of them, it's going for a walk in nature. For some of them, it's, like listening to music and whatever. But the idea just hits them. They can't like go on a walk and intentionally think, okay, speech, story. Okay, and they're thinking about the technique and the criteria and this formula and that punchline, the desired effect. No, it doesn't really work like that, in terms of what they found. Ideas just hit them when they are in this free flowing state. And a lot of them describe it as this state of play. When they're walking in nature, they're almost skipping, they're listening to music, they're dancing, they're grooving, they're feeling good. And I've found this to be very, very true for myself. Not necessarily in terms of getting ideas, although I can say it does help. But I found this state of play concept to be most significant and beneficial to me before my speeches. What this would look like for me is, I remember I had this public speaking competition. It was one of the bigger ones. And I would always bring my one friend with me. He wasn't competing, he didn't do public speaking, he was just my friend. And he would come, and obviously he would watch and he would clap for me and kind of hype me up. But while everyone else is, competing and speaking, we could be listening, but we're not. Him and I would just be outside, and I wouldn't even be saying my speech. Him and I would just be laughing, we'd just be talking about other stuff, we'd be playing music, I'd be freestyling on some beat, we'd be laughing, I think I already said that, and we'd literally be playing as if it was break time, a lunch break, And then I would hear my name, okay, Luca, you're up next. Then I would go in, say my speech, he would come in, sit down, clap, everything went well. And I was in this natural, relaxed, confident state. And yeah, maybe for you don't have a friend like that in, right before you're going to say your speech, okay? But maybe you do have a mouth and some teeth and you can smile. That's the first step. Maybe you do have some music. If you don't have hopefully you have an area where, the crowd can't see you yet, like behind the curtain of the stage or in another room or anything of that nature. If you can be playing music, dancing a bit, grooving a bit, just being in this state of play, doing some jumping jacks, just moving, just doing random, almost goofy things. The way you act in the shower and you sing around and you act like Madonna. If you can do that in private just before you say your speech, it works wonders. Because when we get nervous, we often find that we start moving around and shivering, and our hands start shaking, and the paper, starts like sounding really, really loud in the microphone, and we can barely write on paper, and we have all the jitters. And the reason that is because we have a bump when you get really nervous, you start dropping your marker. We have an increase in adrenaline, And so by moving, we're just naturally getting rid of it a bit. And so, yeah, before my speeches, before competing, I do get nervous. I did then, and I still do. And I still get adrenaline. But before it, I'm always running around, making jokes, smiling. I'm moving a lot. I'm always like, yo, what's up? It's your boy, and I'm just like really high energy. It's almost as if I'm caffeinated, but it's not. I'm adrenalinated. Huh? See what I did there? And yeah, not only do you get rid of it, but you enter this playful state. So that when you go up on stage to speak, this comfort, this creative flow, everything just seems natural, right? And I think I had a good point here. Yeah. Everything just seems really natural when you speak. And that works wonders. Because not only do people see it, observe it, but they feel it. Because I mentioned slightly earlier, and I'll bring it up again, when everyone's kind of nervous, or they're used to speakers being nervous, or they're used to speakers sounding a certain way, looking a certain way, presenting a certain way, they're used to people being a bit more cold, maybe a bit more authoritarian, dictatorial, stern, competent. And you come up and you're actually smiling and you're owning it and you're warm. That's an absurd amount of charisma, an absurd amount of confidence, but it just makes you look more capable as well. Yeah, this is a high pressure moment. Yeah, you're a little nervous, as is everyone, but it doesn't show at all. You're standing there, state of play. Whatever you can do to get into it, to enter it, whether it be music, whether it be inviting your friend to come and speak with you before or after your speech, during, getting in this zone, do what you must. For me, music, for me, dancing, for me, being with my friend, laughing, making jokes, that's it. Not being too serious. I remember there was like these plays going on a stage, drama performances, and there was different performances, and I had to be the master of ceremony, and I had to kind of bind. There would be play X, play Y, play Z, and I had to introduce the evening, welcome the guests, introduce the judges, then I had to bind play X with play Y. So that was great. Now we have, speaking of greatness, this is the next one on Winston Churchill's play, whatever. Oh, I really hope you don't hear the lawnmower in the back. And then I would have to bind them. But before that, I was still writing ideas. I was still writing down notes and stuff because I was in this state of play, still gathering ideas, still moving around, still thinking, yo, what are the judges even called, High adrenaline, high energy, but also high play, high fun, high charisma, high competence, high confidence. So I hope that makes sense. Number 3, we have nobody knows how you feel. Emotion. Okay, no one knows how you feel deep down inside. All that they can observe is your body language and your voice, how you speak. No one knows how you feel, okay? So you can feel really, really nervous, really anxious, a bit insecure. I'll tell you now, that's okay. But when we look at a confident speaker, leaders, presidents, politicians, preachers, they all speak a certain way, they sound a certain way, they look a certain way. When they speak, they have strong body language, upright posture, arms out, they're open. When that's how their body language looks like. Their voice is usually loud, it's clear, they're not afraid to go silent, to pause, to hold the room. And so all we have to do is take the things that the audience can observe, voice and body language, and align our voice and body language with that of a confident speaker. even if we're not really feeling like a confident speaker at the moment. That's okay. So a quick tip in terms of body language, when you open a speech, you always want to be stepping forward, never ever, please never ever backwards, because that's just nerves, that's just anxiety, that's fear. Hey everyone, how's it going? Don't do that. You can usually move left to right a bit, but rather go forwards, and not always forwards and backwards. Hi, how's it going? Because this is, really anxious movement, just constantly moving left and right. Move slowly. You can stand left to bend and right. You can move left to right slowly. But when you open a speech, you always want a forward movement, one step forward with your arms to the side. That's the quickest, most bang for your buck tip I can ever give you. Arms out, forward step. Hey everyone, it's Luca. You understand, hopefully. And in terms of your voice, literally just speak louder. For many people, it's, we speak on a certain bass, what we're used to, and going lower, softer, whispering, making our voice deeper, and going up higher and louder and almost shouting, projecting our voice, maybe even playing around with the pitch and tone and raising our voice and saying Yahoo! And doing all these weird things. We're not used to using our voice to the fullest. And so there's many different exercises I'll make in another video, which we can do to just familiarize ourselves with the controls and mechanics of our voice. But in order to sound more confident, simply just raise your voice. And if you have a microphone, obviously do this in accordance to the mic. You don't want to be shouting in the mic and having the pop filter crash out every time. But literally just raise your voice. Make sure the people at the back can hear you. Say, hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Luca, Forward step, arms to the side, and a slightly louder voice so that everyone can hear you. 2 years ago, I'm in grade 3 and I'm going to school that day with one thing on my mind. I'm going to ask the girl I like to be my Valentine. You understand this is the picture of what it should be looking like. Our fourth point, there are 2 sentences I repeat to myself, almost like affirmations, when I'm nervous. I'm going to tell you them. And you're going to think the one's a bit cringe and the other one's a bit, let me just get my marker. Ugh. You're going to think the one's a bit odd and the other slightly too much positive thinking, hippie woo-woo jazz, but it's not. And the first sentence is, I am the tribe leader. Let me explain. From a primal point of view, 1,000 years ago, maybe even more than that, from some ancestral, tribal, more primitive humans, when we were standing in front of 1,000 people with 2,000 eyeballs on us, we were either one, a scoundrel in trouble, a berry stealer, and we have to stand in front of the crowd, the tribe, for everyone to look at us and say, yep, so everyone knows that we're a thief and that we've done something wrong. Or the second scenario is we're the tribe leader. We're the one standing next to the thief scoundrel, saying, everyone, look at this guy. I called him stealing berries before 6 p.m. You know what that means? Burning at the stake. And everyone goes, woohoo, woohoo, we got him, a berry nibbler. So you have to pick who you want to associate with here. The berry nibbler, the thief, the guy in trouble, or the leader. All right? And so just by simply affirming to yourself that you are the leader, you are meant to stand here in front of everyone, you are meant to have all of their attention on you. At least for me, I found that makes me feel a whole lot better, a whole lot more in control, and it just helps me understand the situation a bit better. Yeah, you're right. I am meant to be here. I am the tribe leader. I am meant to be in the limelight at the moment. Does that make sense? And then we have another sentence, which I've been using in more recent times, and I've found it to work really, really well. I like it a bit more than the tribe one for now. And that is, I'm going to be okay. And I said, yeah, it might sound like some positive, yap, but when we have a speech and we speak in front of a crowd and we have to deliver some presentation, bottom line is we want it to go well. We want it to go well. But when we imagine the possibility where it doesn't go well, an alternate universe where Lucas says a speech and it goes horribly wrong and he gets fired on the spot, expelled from high school, university. When I think of a scenario, the possibility of it going poorly, no one really clapping, no one really resonating with the message, no one enjoying it, people forgetting it, my punchline being a bit bland, the speech going quite poorly, in other words. And I imagine a possibility like that, and I can feel it, and it feels real. I can put myself in those shoes and say, even if this goes horribly wrong, I'm still going to be okay. You're still going to have your job. You might be a step backwards from promotion now, but you still have a mom who loves you and a dad who's proud of you, hopefully. People still kind of know you to be a decent person. You're still going to go home with some food on the plate. And that no matter, how poorly this speech or delivery can go, you're still going to be all right. And no matter how bad you want the desired outcome, if you can imagine the unsuccessful outcome and you're at peace with that possibility occurring, and you understand it and you're okay with it and you almost embrace it and accept it, only then can you truly succeed, speak with confidence, speak freely, speak well, confidently. And I've also found this to be true in other aspects of my life. When I was playing a bit more competitive tennis, I'd be playing in tournaments and I'd be playing someone who's slightly lower ranked than me, someone who I should technically beat, someone who I should win this tennis match. Only when I fully understand and I'm at peace with me losing, and even if I lose, I'll be okay. And there's always a next tournament, and there's always more people to play. Even though I really want to win, I can look at a possibility where I lose, and I'm at peace with that, and I accept it. Only then can you truly play free tennis. Only then can you truly play to the best of your ability and win. Same for public speaking. Only when you accept the possibility that this all could go to shambles, only then can you speak freely, confidently, eloquently. So bottom line, you're going to be okay. And so when you're sitting there on stage and someone is introducing you and then saying, okay, now for our guest speaker, Luca, you're going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. That's the phrase I keep repeating to myself. And so just to sum this whole video up, we have step 1, contrast competence with warmth. Number 2, state of play, essentially smile more. Number 3, nobody knows how you feel. So just ensure that your body language and your voice, speak louder in brackets, all align with a confident speaker. So that will be take a step forward, open body language. All right. And then 2 sentences I repeat to myself. I'm the tribe leader. I'm going to be okay. And now because it's Sunday, I'm in a pretty good mood. I mentioned I like to freestyle. I'm gonna have a little freestyle. If I can just connect this to let's see if I have a beat already. Oh, it works. Hey, I hope you can hear this. Yeah. Hey, hey. I say, hi, hi. My name is Luca. Will you be my subscriber? If life is the ocean, I guess I am just another scuba diver. What is the stain on my t-shirt? Hope it's not water, maybe it's saliva. And I'm moving and I'm grooving, going to the top. You know I'm never losing. I'm on YouTube, you know I put the views in. And I got so much abundance. I'm out here picking and choosing. Yeah, and I'm out here spinning all these bars. I'm making all this money, and you know I'm buying cars. My life is nice, you know I'm living large. Yeah, 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 yeah. I be moving, abusing, never, never, ever losing. I'm out here on the boat, and you know that I be cruising, and I'm soaring, going round the world. Yeah, I swear that I be touring. I be touring. Oh, I'm drying up, but let me just get another word. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Come on, man. I just signed another $1 million deal. I don't ever say how I feel. I'm just trying to keep it real. I just made all this.